This is just unbelievable. This just keeps happening. Uh, this one's just a little different, though. Hi, Sandy Smith. I hate going live under these circumstances, y'all. I just do, you know. This happened a couple hours ago. This is live footage, but it's not live right now. This is just but I mean, I was already set up and I was already live before. So I figured we would just discuss this. Yes, unfortunately, there's another one. I'm gonna let the chat fill up a little bit here. We're looking at another shooting, and there's even updates on the Uvalde shooting, which I'll go over. Let me go ahead and read this article. This is the latest. This took place in Greenwood, Indiana, folks. And according to Channel 13 WTHR News, NBC, police are investigating a shooting at Greenwood Park Mall that happened around 6 p.m. on Sunday. 4 people are dead, and police tell 13 News the shooter is among those dead. Greenwood Chief James Eisen said 2 others were wounded in the shooting and are being treated at area hospitals. The victims shot were identified by police only as 1 male victim and 4 female victims. One of the victims is a 12-year-old girl and had a minor injury to her back. Eisen said a good Samaritan, quote unquote, witnessed the shooting and shot and killed the shooter. This has shaken us to our core. This isn't something we've seen in Greenwood before. It is absolutely horrendous, Eisen said. He went on to say that they have trained for active shooter situations like this, and he was proud of the response from law enforcement. The shooter is only identified as an adult male at this time. Police said the shooter had a long rifle and several magazines of ammo. People inside the mall at the time of the shooting told 13 News reporter Logan Gay that they heard 20 gunshots in the food court. IMPD said it appears shots were only fired in the food court area. IMPD is assisting at the scene and said there is no known ongoing threat during a news conference at 7:45 p.m., which we will watch. Multiple police units went through the mall to make sure there was no people wounded or still sheltering in place. IMPD said there is no information yet on a motive for the shooting. Witnesses are being interviewed, according to IMPD. Greenwood Mayor Mark Myers released a statement on Facebook, reading in part, "This tragedy hits at the core of our community. Please offer your prayers to the victims and our first responders." IMPD said the armed bystander who shot the shooter is cooperating with police. The bystander is believed to have had a handgun and chose to intervene when they saw the shooting. Eisen said the 22-year-old from Bartholomew County was carrying a gun lawfully. A backpack found left at the scene was cleared Sunday night. Investigators then began gathering evidence at the scene. And that's all there is so far, guys. But we are going to watch. We are going to continue because this is live coverage. But eventually the video that I'm playing right here becomes an interview with law enforcement. So I'm going to just fast forward to that.
Oh, yeah. Everyone. Yep. Charlie! All right. First of all, I'm filling in, pinch hitting right now for Greenwood Police Department. We can expect to have a more in-depth briefing from Chief Eisen within the hour. I don't know the exact time frame, but at this point, it'll be here, unless you hear otherwise, either from us or from a contact within Greenwood Police Department. Probably not going to be able to take any questions because there's still a lot of information I don't know and we don't know at this particular point. What I do know is shortly before 6 o'clock today, Greenwood Police Department was dispatched here to the Greenwood Mall on the reports of shots fired inside the mall, obviously. What we know right now is that we have at least 2 people deceased and multiple other people being treated at nearby hospitals. I'll let the chief provide that information about the exact number once he has that all that information. What led up to this shooting, what the motive was, how many shooters, all those things right now are still being sorted out. What I can tell you is happening right now at the mall is that there is no immediate public safety concern for the residents, visitors of this area on the south side of Indianapolis and in Greenwood. Members of the IMPD SWAT team and other tactical units are going methodically through the mall to make sure there are people inside that are additionally injured, that there are not people waiting for rescue or being given all clear, that there are no other concerns for law enforcement or the community. That's going to take some time. This investigation is being led by the Greenwood Police Department, and all information from this point forward needs to come from the Greenwood Police Department unless we are given permission to help them provide that information. That's what we're doing right now is we're assisting Greenwood as this is we're all one in these times of tragedy, in these times of this seriousness type of event. You are seeing the best that public safety has to offer right now behind us. We are sickened by yet another type of incident like this in our country, in our city, over the next few days, next few hours, we hope that we'll have more information to share with you. You can try to ask me a couple questions, but I may not have the answers.
Any idea how many guns you've recovered?
I don't know that yet.
Is the shooter dead?
Don't know that yet either.
Now we do know that the shooter is dead,
Have any of that
and we do
information.
know that 4 died. So
family in the mall, they're going to be put on buses and driven across the street to a staging area at Ashley.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I left that out. I'm sorry. I apologize. There are a lot of people in here that need to be interviewed by detectives. The Greenwood training facility on Lowe's off of 31 is where the reunification and where Indigo is taking those witnesses over to be interviewed by detectives from both Johnson County and Greenwood.
You know if anybody's been arrested?
Don't know that yet.
You said the Lowe's where?
dude got
It's
capped.
off of Lowe's Boulevard. If you give me 1 second, I'll give you the exact address. I'm sorry.
Can you confirm if it started in the food court?
My understanding is that it is sorry. My understanding is that it was contained to the food court area, but right now our tactical teams are going through methodically to make sure that is the case.
When you say contained by
That's what occurred. I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak in that language. Yeah, that's where we believe that it occurred is over in the food court
so
area.
we don't know where the shooter may be at this point.
7:30. No, there is no active ongoing threat to anybody in the community. Anybody that's been involved in this is we have we know where they are.
So
It's 736 Lowe's Boulevard in Greenwood.
So you can't confirm if the shooters are the 2 dead?
Yeah, that's what I don't know. I don't know if the shooter's deceased or but we're not looking for anybody right now, and there's no ongoing public safety threat.
Any idea how
To
many
the public.
people have been released from the mall so far?
I don't know that number either.
One last question. Is there how many people went to the hospital and how many bodies are in there?
I can confirm 2 deceased right now. The rest of it is still a number that
Wow.
Still in there, or they left and went to the hospital?
there's 2 deceased on the scene that I was told. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can you just wait?
Sorry about that, Russ.
There was some confusion on where the media from was. Can you just kind of go over with us,
Yep.
like what you started saying?
No need to step in. They got it.
Sorry. I saw you on there. I'm like, are you coming over here?
Because we heard Best Buy, then we heard Madison. Like,
So here's what I'll tell you.
This is so sad, man.
Confusion.
yeah.
Ultimately,
This is
I hear
awful.
from the police department You go where the police department tells you to go.
Yes, 12-year-old girl was injured. Minor injuries to her back, as reported. Right, exactly.
That's why we sold everybody at the beginning to come here.
Cherry, I did check the email, but you sent me the exact thing that I'm showing right now. But thank you. Let me get.
Hospitals, yes.
Yes. You guys know I'm going to go on a rant about that. Once we get all the reports from law enforcement here, I will be.
Stand you here, and if you can start with your name and spelling, sir, and title.
Chief Jim Ison, ISON, Chief of Police for the Greenwood Police Department.
Chief, what's your situation?
Right. Cherry, the Dropbox one is this exact interview right here. Same exact one.
Hey, Chief,
I just looked at it.
At approximately 6:05
But
tonight,
thank you.
Johnson County 911 Center took multiple calls of an active shooter in the food court of the Greenwood Park Mall. Multiple agencies have responded and are still on the scene, assisting Greenwood Police, the FBI, ATF, Greenwood Police Department, Johnson County Sheriff's Department, Indianapolis Police Department, State Police Department,
Hey, Michelle.
Department of Homeland Security, Greenwood Fire Department, Marion County Sheriff's Department, and Indianapolis Fire Department are some of those agencies. As you can imagine, this type of situation is horrible. It's rocked us to our core. We're still very early in this investigation. What we do know right now is that we have what appears to be one shooter. Looks to be an adult male. We have not identified him yet. We do not have a motive yet. It appears that he had a rifle with several magazines of ammunition, entered the food court, and began shooting. We have 5 victims.
Dude, that sucks so bad.
4 have been confirmed deceased.
Like, imagine that. You're there, you know, and you just want some Sbarro and some Chick-fil-A, maybe. You know what I mean? Or that, like, bourbon chicken you get from whatever random Chinese place that they got there. That stuff is so good, by the way. And I look forward to that, man. Like, if I look forward to going to the mall ever, because I hate the mall, right? But if I look forward to going to the mall, I'm looking forward to the food court. And then this guy's got to come in there and ruin it for everybody. Like, I mean, you go in there, you're about to bite into some Sbarro, and then you get shot. You got to worry about getting shot at Sbarro. Come on, man.
And 2 are at Eskenazi Hospital with wounds, and we do not have an update on their condition at this time. I'm going to do another update in about an hour. I hope to have a little bit more on the conditions of the other 2 victims.
Is the shooter dead?
The shooter is deceased.
So how is he deceased?
We believe at this time investigators are still questioning the individual involved, but it appears that a good Samaritan that was armed
Hell yeah.
the shooting in progress and shot the shooter.
Chief, first of all, you said you had 5 victims with 4 DOA. Does that mean you've got 5 wounded victims?
No, we have 6 total, including the shooter. 4, including the shooter, are deceased. So 3 victims are deceased. The shooter is deceased. 2 other victims are at Eskenazi Hospital.
And before you said you had 1 shooter, but I think what you meant is you've got 1 shooter down and then the shooter who took him down. So you've got 2 shooters?
We have 1 shooter responsible for the incident.
All right.
And 1 good Samaritan who shot the person responsible.
All right, guys, we're going to get into that discussion. I promise. I see people in chat are already getting worked up over the Second Amendment and whatnot. I have feelings about that. I have very strong feelings about that. And we are going to talk about that stuff. Just take it easy in chat until then for me, please. In the meantime, let's focus on collecting all the facts available to us.
You know what kind of gun it was?
It appears to be a long gun. I do not know what type of long gun.
So how many weapons have you recovered?
We haven't recovered any yet.
And Chief, just for clarification again, so you have 3 dead, sir?
We have 4 dead, including the shooter. To answer your question, tactical teams.
This guy has to
still
answer the same
in
question over and over again,
clearing.
man.
The
He's
mall
so
is very
stressed
big.
out.
It takes a lot of time to clear every store, every inch of that large facility. We will not start processing that scene until that is done. We also have a backpack that was left in the bathroom. We don't know who it belongs to. It was suspicious, so the Johnson County and State Police bomb squads
There you
are
go.
there now dealing with that package.
See, that's how you
Once the
police
scene has been,
people.
determined to be safe.
That's how you cop.
Investigators and crime scene personnel will move in and start processing.
What level of cooperation are you getting from what you called the Good Samaritan?
He appears to be cooperating fully.
What kind of gun did you use?
I don't have that information right now.
Size? Is it like a handgun or
The shooter or the Good Samaritan?
the Good Samaritan?
I believe it was a handgun.
When you say the backpack was suspicious, just by its presence there, or is there something to indicate that it might be explosive?
Well, there was a backpack laying in the bathroom outside of the food court that was unattended. So, given the circumstances, it's suspicious.
You mentioned it was a long gun. Did anybody see him walk in with that long gun? Did he go back out to the parking lot, or?
I don't have that information.
Yeah, like,
Did you mention? if
did he
there
have a
are
trench coat on?
people in the
Well,
mall?
I mean,
Like, are there still people inside? Trapped.
No.
Okay.
Everyone has been evacuated from.
now if I had to guess, now I don't know of I don't know of any mall. I don't know of any mall that that doesn't have a door, an entrance that goes directly to the food court. So if I had to guess, if I had to speculate based on the things that we do know so far, I'd say the reason why this dude was able to actually walk into the mall with a long rifle, which is not conspicuous at all, or not inconspicuous at all, I should say. Sorry. You know, and actually managed to get some rounds off before somebody actually took him down. I'd say he probably just parked close to the door and walked into the food court entrance and executed this horrible act.
Not at this time.
Well, how many shots were fired?
I don't know.
Chief, the people who were evacuated, did they go out on those 2 buses we saw?
No. The buses were protocol. They weren't needed.
At this point, do witnesses give you an indication of what started this?
No. At this time, I'm going to stop this interview. I will be back in 1 hour, and at that time, I will try to have more specific information for you.
Oh no,
Right now,
I'm going to fast forward to that. Because whatever this is, this YouTube video, it just ran live and then just recently ended. So, and for those of you just joining, there was in Greenwood Park Mall in Greenwood, Indiana, there was an active shooter. There are 4 dead, including the shooter, and the shooter was taken down by a Good Samaritan armed with a handgun. And he obviously had a permit for it. From the report, he's 22 years old. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the next time this gentleman comes back with more updates.
Of the weapons that perhaps are in the mall, it looks like the person that you referred to as a Good Samaritan was armed with a handgun. It looks like the original shooter was armed with a long rifle. We're going to step out of the way now and take this briefing live.
Oh, he's absolutely a hero, Roxy Cole. Absolutely.
Okay. As promised, the 9:30 update. First of all, I would like to say and send out our heartfelt condolences to the victims' families in this tragedy. Like I said earlier, this has shaken us to our core. This isn't something that we have seen here in Greenwood before. It is absolutely horrendous, and our thoughts and prayers are with those loved ones hurting tonight.
Absolutely.
We have just
God.
a quick update. I don't have a
I
lot
can't
of
even
additional
imagine.
details at this time. We have cleared the backpack. I'm not going to go into detail with the contents that were found in the backpack. That's still being processed. There was no explosive device, which was our primary concern in a situation like this. The EOD has cleared that. Our SWAT teams from the Indiana State Police, the Greenwood Police Department, and the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department have finished their clearing of all the stores and corridors in the mall. We are confident that there are no additional threats at this time. At this point, the Greenwood Police Department, Johnson County Sheriff's Department, and FBI's evidence collection teams are just now beginning the process of entering the crime scene to process for evidence and get more answers to this senseless tragedy. With that, that's all the information that I have tonight. I will give another update tomorrow. We are going to have a press conference at the Greenwood Police Department at 2 p.m.
Hey, Panda.
How long will this mall be crime scene? In other words, will the mall open tomorrow as usual, or are you asking Simon Mall Properties to allow you how many more hours to do your job?
Well, the short and simple answer is it will take as long as it takes. I expect we will be here until the early morning hours tonight. Earlier, I was asked if the mall will be open tomorrow. I don't have that answer. That will have to come from Simon Properties.
What are witnesses telling your detectives about how this jumped off?
Right now, I'm not willing to release any details.
I think Indiana is either Eastern or Central. It's either Eastern or Central, but I'm not sure.
Details of the investigation, as it is so early. We're still putting the pieces together.
What can you tell me? A national epidemic. Now it's Greenwood, Indiana. Can you just put this in context? As you've seen police departments across the country responding to these mass shootings, whether in schools, in buildings, offices. Now that it's here, now that you're dealing with it, your officers are coming face to face with this. How do you process something like this?
They're trained for it, man. They're trained for it. There you go.
A few years back, we had one of the largest coordinated exercises with the FBI and other local metropolitan area agencies for this exact situation. We have done multiple mall exercises with local law enforcement.
Wow.
We train annually our officers.
And it didn't even have to get to that.
Very quickly, and I'm extremely proud of the law enforcement response, not only from the Greenwood Police Department, but as you can see behind
He's a panda girl.
the multi-jurisdictional
Come here, Panda.
cooperation that we have.
It's a good girl.
I mean, it was so fast. LEOs reporting, self-reporting from home when they heard about it. IMPD SWAT team members
Get up here.
just as quick as ours were. It was a very, very fast response. But I'm going to tell you, the real hero of the day is the citizen that was lawfully carrying a firearm.
There you go.
And was able to stop the shooter almost as soon as he began.
What can you tell us about him? I'm sure if you want to tell us his name, that'd be great. But I'm sure
I can tell you that he's a 22-year-old male from Bartholomew County, and that is all that I can release at this time.
What can you
22 years old.
Victims and whether or not they were targeted or they were hit by stray bullets.
At this point, I just don't know. I don't have a motive yet, and as that comes out, we will share it. But right now, I don't have that information.
Can you break down males, females?
Yes, it looks like we have the shooter was a male. We have one male victim and 4 female victims.
Jesus.
How many of those were deceased and how many of those are wounded?
3 victims were deceased and 2 were wounded.
And that breaks down, is it males, females in the hospital, males, females deceased? Can you break that down?
So Buddy, sounds like Buddy had a problem with women. Probably got rejected a bunch of times. Had no game, decided to blame women. Ugh.
Not at this time. No, I want to get that right, and I can't. At this point. Yes, between 30 and early 20s.
Chief, there's a big debate in our state right now regarding permitless carry, concealed weapons, guns. I'm not asking you to chime in on the debate.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Are you able to say anything about what?
He's like, don't even start with that shit right now.
Was it a exchange, or was it just a random guy to shoot?
Once again, details. We have viewed some surveillance video. I'm not going to release any details. This is still very early, and it's still an active, ongoing investigation.
Do you have any update on the victims that were taken to the hospital? Are they in stable condition? Are they critical?
Yes, the last I heard, we had one unstable, well, two unstable. I will add the last press conference. I did state that there were no juveniles. I later found out there was one. She was a 12-year-old female. She had a very minor wound, somewhat of a scratch, I'm being told, on her back. She went home, told her parents, and they called us and we responded. She was transported to the hospital for a checkout. She is expected to be just fine.
Chief, your hometown guy.
What?
The other two you said were stable, have they been admitted?
She is one of them that was stable. The other one, I do not know if they have been admitted. They're still at the hospital. Yes.
Your hometown guy, this mall is nestled in a neighborhood. What do you want the people of Greenwood to know as they watch all of these images unfold? And tomorrow morning, when they wake up and you may still be here, what do you want your citizens to know about the situation?
Just that, we are doing the best we can right now. They have the best in their federal law enforcement and local law enforcement and state law enforcement officials here trying to get answers and make sense of what happened. Like I said, this is still very early in that process, and I want people to feel safe in Greenwood. I'm very proud of our officers. We strive in having a very safe city and low violent crime rate. And like I said, this is just something that has shocked us to our core tonight, and our hearts are out. Go out to all the victims.
Have you identified the original shooter?
Conference tomorrow morning.
Have you identified the original shooter? And is he a Marion County person? Is he a Johnson County person?
About where it is and what time it is.
Okay, he mentioned it was at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Is that still the case? Is that still the case? 2 o'clock? Okay.
Yes. The next update will.
Okay, I don't know why they lost sound, but he's done anyway. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Another mass shooting, mall shooting in Greenwood, Indiana, but foiled by a Good Samaritan. Absolutely foiled by a Good Samaritan who happened to be legally carrying a sidearm. And I'm gonna go ahead and check something else out here real quick. We've got an account of some witnesses here. A couple little mall rats. Poor things.
I just looked at my kids and I told them, come on, let's go. And we started running. And in the midst of us running, I fell. I got my knee skinned up and I looked up and I only see one of my kids. So my other two got separated.
Wow.
From us.
That must have been terrifying. Yes, 4 people are dead, Oliver, including the
I
shooter.
just looked back, it was empty. I remember seeing somebody laying down, but it was empty.
Four are dead, including the shooter. Now, we've got... Let me go over something else here. This was sent to me by Cherry. This is little excerpts, some facts on the Uvalde shooter. It says here, another factor contributing to relaxed vigilance on campus was the frequency of security alerts and campus lockdowns resulting from a recent rise of bailouts, quote unquote, the term used in border communities for the increasingly frequent occurrence of human traffickers trying to outrun the police, usually ending with the smuggler crashing the vehicle and the passengers fleeing in all directions. The frequency of these bailout-related alarms, around 50 of them between February and May of 2022. 50 of these in 2 months, 3 months. Between February and May of 2022 contributed to a diminished sense of vigilance about responding to security alerts. So how does that make it better? You know, I mean, if it's a border issue, right? And I'm not saying one thing or the other, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm a believer that everybody has this. That's what America's all about. You come here, you know, give us, you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry. You come here and you have an opportunity to make a living. You have an opportunity to get a slice of the American dream. I firmly believe that everybody should have that. Everybody here, unless you are a Native American, you originate from immigration. Plain and simple. That's just a fact, whether you like it or not. It's just a fact. So I support anybody being able to come to this country and be able to do whatever they want to do, as long as they're lawful. Now, as far as human trafficking goes, that's a different story. But if human trafficking is such a problem, right, then why would it diminish the vigilance from law enforcement? Shouldn't they be more alert? Shouldn't they be taking steps forward to make sure that it doesn't happen? It doesn't make any sense to me. So the fact that it happened 50 times in a matter of 3 months, these bailouts happened 50 times within a period of 3 months, it made these cops more complacent. That's the story here. That makes absolutely no sense. And then we've got some updates on the shooter and how they, and this is the Uvalde. Okay. I'm still talking about the Uvalde incident. As we get more information, I'm going to get back into I'm going to segue back into the mall situation in Greenwood. But right now, this is a little update on the Uvalde situation. And this is how the shooter, this 18-year-old shooter, obtained all of these weapons. So it says here, as soon as the attacker turned 18 on May 16th, 2022, just 1 week before the shooting on May 24th, 2022, he was finally able to purchase guns and ammunition. An online retailer shipped 1,740 rounds of 5.56 millimeter 75 grain boat tail hollow point to his doorstep at a cost of $1,761.50. He ordered a Daniel Defense DDM4 V7, an AR-15 style rifle, for shipment to a gun store in Uvalde at a cost of $2,054.28, including tax and transfer fee. On May 17th, he bought a Smith & Wesson M&P 15, also an AR-15 style rifle, at the same store in Uvalde at a cost of $1,081.42. He returned the next day for 375 rounds of M193 and 5.56 millimeter 55 grain round with a full metal jacket, which has a soft core surrounded by a harder metal. He returned again to pick up his other rifle when it arrived on May 20th, 2022, and he had store staff install the holographic sight on it after the transfer was completed. The owner of the gun store described the attacker as an average customer with no red flags or suspicious conditions, just that he was always alone and quiet. So, okay, come on, man. The owner of the store remembered asking how an 18-year-old could afford such purchases. I mean, that's not a red flag. How are you going to say on one side of your mouth that there's no red flags, and then you're going to say that, and you're the owner, and say that you questioned how an 18-year-old could afford these purchases? The rifles alone were over $3,000, and the attacker simply said that he had saved up. Patrons of the store who saw him told, and then that just ends there. That's just a clip that I got there. So I find that very interesting. So listen, I'm gonna explore, because right now we're gonna get into the whole Second Amendment discussion. We're gonna get into the whole gun control discussion, because right now with these two cases, we have two very valid arguments, okay, from each side. All right, and I want to be clear as we get into this. I do have my strong opinions on this issue. I have very strong opinions on this issue, but that's not to mean that I don't respect your opinions if you disagree with me. So you are allowed to have your opinion here in this chat as long as you are respectful to everyone in the chat. Because I realize this is a sensitive issue, especially as each time goes by, every time there's a new incident. And it becomes even that much more of a sensitive issue each time. So I want to be very clear that I'm acknowledging that, and I understand that a lot of people have a lot of very, very strong opinions on this issue. No matter what side you're on, no matter where your opinions lie, they're welcome here in the chat, and you won't be shut down. You won't be disrespected. But on one side, on the issue of gun control that would favor that argument, I just don't, I'm not buying the whole an average customer with no red flags. First of all, that's not an average customer who buys. First of all, an average customer, I seriously doubt that the average customer at that gun store is 18 years old and purchases $3,000 alone worth of just alone in rifles. So no, that's not an average customer. That's something that gun store owner is saying to cover his own ass. So that's, now, did he break the law? No. But don't sit here and say that he was an average customer on top of saying that there were no red flags. The fact that you brought up the fact that he was 18 years old and wondered how the hell he could even afford all that means that you were just thinking of dollar signs, and you were just thinking of making gun sales. You wanted to up your sales. You were concerned about your own revenue. That's a fact. Okay. Now, here's the thing though. Where do we draw the line? Because let's look at what happened with the mall shooter, right? The mall shooter was taken down by a 22-year-old Good Samaritan, quote unquote, who was legally carrying, right? Now, do we not want that guy to stockpile if he wants to stockpile? Should he not be allowed to exercise his Second Amendment right and purchase as many firearms as he wants? And I'm of the opinion that he should. I think that kid was absolutely within his rights to purchase all that. But unfortunately, you don't get to cherry pick. You don't get to say, okay, well, let's let this guy over here be allowed to buy all these guns, but we can't let this person over here buy all these guns. That doesn't make sense. And I'm of the opinion. Oh, okay. You're saying you remember the mall was a gun-free zone, and I go to that mall. Right. But I mean, of course it's a gun-free zone, but it's all they're going to do is put up signs that say gun-free zone. that you're not allowed to bring a gun in there. You know, but let's just say that Good Samaritan had followed that rule, right? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the Good Samaritan had followed that rule. How many more people would have died? Now, obviously, there's no, and thank goodness for this, there's no metal detectors and people searching and patting you when you're just trying to go to the mall and you're just trying to get some Chick-fil-A and some Sbarro in your face. You know what I mean? Like, there's somebody, you're going to feel violated. Like, it sucks. Even still, I still haven't gotten used to going to the airport and being searched and having to take off my shoes and my belt and stand there and do this while something circles around me and scans my body for God knows what. Because all I'm trying to do is exercise my right to be able to travel within the states anywhere that I want in the most efficient way possible, which is via commercial airline. So let's just say that this dude had followed that rule, right? Gun-free zone? No. Fuck you. No, my gun goes with me everywhere I go. Why does it go with me everywhere I go? Just in case some shit like that guy shows up. Right? I mean, because let's just think about it. What if he had followed that rule? Does it make him a bad citizen because he didn't follow the sign that said gun-free zone? No, not in my opinion, because what he did saved lives. What he did saved lives. There's no arguing that. There's nobody who's talking about gun control can argue that fact against me. They can't. The fact of the matter is, period, this dude happened to have a sidearm. He was legally carrying, and you can't legally take away his right to carry a gun. And because he is a Good Samaritan, because he was carrying a gun, it saved lives. Because he probably goes to the gun range on a regular basis and is disciplined in gun safety. And he was able to breathe, and he was able to act and take down this person whose motive we have no idea was his motive. But he just walked in there and just started shooting people. That's what we know. Now, is it because he was rejected by girls? Was it because his parents didn't pay enough attention to him? I mean, who knows? You know what? Who gives a shit? Because now I feel even stronger about the fact now, because that's the thing is, I going back to the Uvalde thing, right? This kid, 18 years old, the second he turns 18, he's got money. I don't know where he got that money. I doubt that he saved it up. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he did, right? You're going to tell me that an 18-year-old kid, that driven, okay, that disciplined to save up his money, and save up his money for what? To shoot innocent people, to stock up on weapons and ammunition. And he saved his money and disciplined himself. Because at 18 years old, man, I was spending my money, just any money I got was blown. Hell, I'm still bad with money. But at 18 years old, if I'm that disciplined, I'm getting my guns. If for some reason that store owner did see those red flags and was like, I'm refusing service to you, because there's something really weird about this. Now, what I do feel like he should have done is contacted law enforcement and said, listen, I don't know if there's anything, now, should there be a law the question is, should there be a law for gun owners to contact law enforcement? Maybe. I wouldn't be against that, if I'm being totally honest. I'm saying sell him the guns. He's not breaking the law. He has a Second Amendment right just like anybody else, right? That shooter, that coward, still had his Second Amendment rights, just like any other adult in the United States of America, where he could walk into a gun store and buy as many guns as he wants. But should there be a law? I'm not going to say there should be, but I'm going to say that it wouldn't bother me if there was. If there was a law where that particular gun owner has to contact law enforcement and say, hey, this is probably nothing, but you might want to keep your eyes open. But here's the thing. In that, let's just say hypothetically that happened, right? In Uvalde, let's just say hypothetically that store owner did contact law enforcement. He acted as a good Samaritan and said, hey, this is probably nothing, guys, but this kid, 18 years old, in the last couple of days has spent $3,000 just on assault rifles. So I found that just to be a little fishy. I don't know if maybe he's just a gun collector. Maybe he just is a gun nut, total enthusiast, right? Reads Guns and Ammo religiously and just loves guns. A lot of people just love guns and they like to collect. And you know what? When I was a kid, I knew kids my age, 18 years old, I knew a couple of kids that just read Guns and Ammo religiously. I know a kid. I know a guy that was about my age. This kid, and I did something really, really, really fucking stupid, right? I'm going to tell you guys a story. This kid, he loved his guns, and his dad was a big gun nut, and his dad was very, he taught him gun safety and blah, blah, blah. Not very well, and gave this kid more trust, which is the story that I'm about to tell you. But I was maybe 17 years old at the time. I'm hanging out at his house. We're skipping school. I'm hanging out at his house, and he wants me to shoot an AK-47 at him with blanks. And I did. I just shot one round, but he had to really talk me into it. I was not comfortable with it, but he was showing me, he was like, this is a live round. These are blanks. I'm showing you. I just want to see what it looks like to get shot at. And I'm like, that's fucking sick and fucking weird. No, I'm not doing that. But he was like, look, there's no way. Look, he's like, puts a blank round in there. The gun's empty. He shows me putting one blank round in there, and then he fires it to the wall. Nothing happened, right? Just a loud bang, right? So I was like, okay, fine, give me the thing, blah, blah, blah. And then I did it, and I was like, don't ever ask me to do that shit again. Shit was fucking weird. And he was just laughing at me. But he turned out fine. It was not a live round. People shoot in the movies blanks at each other all the time. But at 17 years old, I shouldn't have been skipping school and hanging out with this dude and firing an AK-47 in his living room. Actually, it was in his kitchen. So, you know what I mean? I've done a lot of stupid things as a kid. That was one of them. I'm not proud of it. But this kid was a total gun nut. But he's never gone and shot people up. He's always practiced, for the most part, aside from that particular incident, practiced gun safety and was very vigilant about gun safety. But he was all about his guns. He was all about his guns. He had the nickname G.I. Joe in school because he was all about his guns. So it's possible to be a young kid and be a firearm enthusiast. It's not illegal, is my point. It's not illegal. So, Cherry, yes. But that was different. A live round made it into all of and no foul play was ever suspected. But yeah, Brandon Lee, while filming The Crow, there was a scene where just like there was a ton of people shooting him, and one live round made it into one of the guns and killed Brandon Lee tragically. But I mean, that's one incident. I mean, how many action movies are out there? How many action movies are out there where where people are shooting at each other with blank rounds? I mean, they're countless. They're countless. And that's one incident as well as the Alec Baldwin incident. So, overall, it's a pretty safe thing to do as long as you practice gun safety, right? Now, again, the point that I was getting at, let's say hypothetically that the owner of the gun store in Uvalde that sold this kid all of those rifles and all of that ammunition had actually contacted the police and said, hey, might be nothing, but you might want to check this out. I found it a little suspicious. Found it a little fishy. If he had done that, based on the performance that we've seen and based on what we just read about Uvalde police and the bailouts and their lack of vigilance in dealing with these situations and the footage that we saw, the surveillance footage that we saw happening in Cobb Elementary School, do we think that law enforcement would have done anything about it? So even if this gun owner decided, yeah, you know what? It's a little suspicious, right? Even if this gun owner decided it's a little suspicious and contacted law enforcement, based on the performance that we saw of those local law enforcement agents, there was over 300, there was almost 400 people or just over 400 cops that showed up to the scene, Uvalde, within those 77 minutes, and nothing happened. They did nothing. I mean, so can we sit here and honestly think that law enforcement would have done anything had that gun owner reported the situation? I'm not of the opinion that they would have. Based on what we know from them so far, I'm not of the opinion that they would have at all. So there goes that argument. But here we are, Greenwood, Indiana, where law enforcement is saying the real hero here is the Good Samaritan who happened to be taking advantage of his Second Amendment rights and legally and lawfully carrying a firearm, ended the situation, shot and killed the suspect, shot and killed this person who decided to do this awful thing. So again, my opinion, as these things, my argument in my eyes is reinforced. My opinion is reinforced every single time that this happens. Every single time that we hear of a mass shooting incident, my opinion is reinforced. If more decent, lawful, law-abiding citizens carried guns, somebody, and that happens more often. Every time that there's a mass shooting and it ends that way, that is one less mass shooter that's one more mass shooter who is about to commit a horrible crime that's going to be discouraged, more likely discouraged to actually go through with it, because they're counting on a police response time. They're not counting on somebody who just happens to be at the mall eating some reheated pizza. That's delicious, by the way. Eating some reheated pizza, deciding, you know what? I'm going to take this dude down. Because if there's a fear that there's a lot of people out there like this Good Samaritan in a public place, a mass shooter is going to be a lot less likely to actually have the balls to walk into a public place and start firing on everybody like the coward that they are. Because make no mistake, these people are cowards. They're counting on killing unarmed people. They're counting on killing unarmed people. They're bullies, people who can't fight back. But if the norm are people armed in a public place, that is going to discourage. That is going to more likely discourage someone with a sinister plan like this from going through with it. And you just can't argue that with me. I mean, that's a fact, because obviously these things aren't stopping. There's nothing you can do. It's simple. You have somebody who's going to take everybody, catch everybody off guard, and then he's going to pick off as many people as he can until there's a police response time. Fair. I mean, plain and simple. That's just how it is, right? And then we're gonna wait for the police to show up. And then in a case like in Uvalde, we can't even count on the police. We can't even count on them. There's that one teacher, lost 11 kids. He was shot twice. He survived, but 11 children. He had to watch all 11 of his class get viciously murdered. Children, 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds, people. Now, what if that dude had been armed? Now, again, I'm not trying to imply, I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way. You probably aren't, but just to be clear and just to clarify and just to be thorough in what I'm saying, I'm not saying that it should be a law that people arm themselves. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that everyone should have the right to arm themselves should they choose to. And I'm saying that faculty members of a school should be allowed to carry should they choose to. Because if a faculty member in Uvalde was carrying, it could have saved lives because we could not count on law enforcement. Those people could not count on law enforcement in Uvalde at the Cobb Elementary School. They could not count on law enforcement. We saw them run like cowards away from the gunfire. When they should have organized, somebody should have taken some sort of. Now it's been clear. It's been an update in the Uvalde thing. I'll also hold on a second. Let me. I'll read the article. And this is, I believe, from today. So this was actually, you know what? I'll actually play. I'll just read the article. Systematic failures and egregious errors are at fault, according to a new report released by the Texas House on the May 24th Uvalde massacre, in which a lone gunman entered the Robb Elementary School and murdered 19 children and 2 teachers. Leadership and the lack of command structure were also to blame. Absolutely. And they're going to explain why in just a second. There were nearly 400 officers on the scene as the gunman massacred children and teachers for 73 minutes. There were 149 U.S. Border Patrol agents, 91 state police, 25 Uvalde police, 16 members of the Uvalde Sheriff's Office, and 5 members of the school district, in addition to members of law enforcement from surrounding communities. The report, 44 days in the making, comes after the release of surveillance video from the school on that day, which shows that 73 minutes passed between the time the shooter entered the school and when police took out the gunman. Reports from the press conference indicate that some victims of the shooter could have been saved had officers entered the classroom without waiting over an hour. State Congressman Dustin Burrows said that the officers who knew or should have known that this was an active shooter situation by their training experience should have done more. Post Millennial tweeted, Texas State Congressman Dustin Burrows reiterates that there were multiple systematic failures in Uvalde. The officers who knew or should have known that this was an active shooter situation by their training experience should have done more. We are very clear on that. On the day of the massacre, officers on the ground appeared to be unclear as to who was in charge. When officers attempted to go ahead into the room, they were prevented from doing so. School police chief Arredondo reportedly said, "Tell them to fucking wait," quote unquote. Former Texas Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman on Uvalde says, "One of the things that we've learned from this is the importance of an incident commander and the information that's relayed out." Former Texas Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman spoke about the failure of leadership, saying that anyone who is not willing to put the lives of the people you serve, of those children, before your own should find another job. Let me say that again, because I could not agree with that more. The former Texas Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman spoke about the failure of leadership, saying that anyone who is, quote, not willing to put the lives of the people you serve, of those children, before your own should find another job. Burroughs said during the conference that the school was not prepared for a school shooter, despite policies that were in place to prevent mass murder by an unlawful intruder. With hindsight, the congressman said, with hindsight, we can say that Robb Elementary was not adequately prepared for the risk of a school shooter, despite the policy of locked doors that was a regrettable culture of noncompliance. The report does say, reported Fox News, that it's plausible that some of the victims could have survived if they did not have to wait some 73 minutes before they were rescued. Burroughs said that there was every likelihood that the door to the classroom where the children and teachers were killed, 111 and connecting 112, room 111 connecting to 112, was unlocked. Initial reports were that the door was locked and a janitor's key was needed for border control officers to open it. Reports at the press conference on Sunday indicated that there might never be an answer, but that it was likely that the door was not locked and could have been breached by officers at any time. Dustin Burroughs also said there is a strong emphasis, and we put in the report, that it is more likely than not, very strong, that if somebody had just gone up and tried the door handle, they could have opened it without a key. The findings of the report will be used by Texas lawmakers to see what needs to be changed as the new school year approaches to prevent massacres like this from happening again. The investigation found that many of the security failures in Uvalde were similar to those that can be found across the country. People, I mean, what else do you need? That's why I'm saying, if you have this, you have your Second Amendment, you have your rights as an American, take advantage of them. Take advantage of them. Because yes, police are there to protect and serve, but this is proof that we cannot 100% count on police to save lives. In certain situations, in a particular moment, okay, Uvalde police, every law enforcement agent failed those kids. Every law enforcement agent failed those kids and failed that faculty. I mean, this is why I'm always talking about independence. This is why we are a nation of independence. We take pride on independence. The 4th of July is not called the 4th of July. Remember when I was a kid, there was this little trick questions. You know, you played this game of trick questions. One was sorry, I'm looking at chat. One of these trick questions was, is there a 4th of July in England? Right? And then, you know, you're quick to go, no, there's no 4th of July in England. Actually, there is. England has a July and a 4th. What they don't have is an Independence Day. We have an Independence Day. As a matter of fact, we revolted and became independent from England. That is what we celebrate. We don't celebrate the 4th of July. That just happens to be the day that we declared our independence. Independence meaning the idea of the United States of America, people. Okay. The idea behind it is independence. That means you alone, you have the opportunity. Okay. You have the opportunity to prosper. You have all of the means and all of the rights that you have. Nobody is going to step in front of you and tell you that you can't earn a living however you choose to earn a living, as long as it is within the boundaries of the law. That is what the United States is based on. All of its, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, all of these documents, the Pursuit of Happiness, all of these documents are based on the idea to create, they are designed to create a nation where each individual has every right to do whatever they want as long as it's within the boundaries of the law, and live and let live. Live and let live. That's what it's based on. Do you. I'm going to do me, but do you. What you do is none of my business. As long as you understand that whatever the fuck I do is none of your fucking business. You don't get to come along with a gun and start telling me how I can earn a living and what I can do with myself. The idea is based on less government. The Second Amendment was designed to fight tyranny. The Second Amendment was designed to protect your right that if the government started to make laws that infringe on your rights and your individual freedom, that you have the right to bear arms and rise up against them and keep your government in check. The government works for you, not the other way around. The government exists to meet your needs. That's why they're known as civil servants. Everybody who's a government worker is known as a civil servant. That means that they work for you. You pay taxes because they work for you. You sign their paychecks. Every time you go to work and they take taxes out of your check, it is to pay their checks because they work for you. The cops work for you. Senators work for you. Congressmen work for you. That's how it works. But now, these people who want more gun control, well, instead of taking the initiative and saying, you know what, using common sense and saying, you know what, well, guess what? Gun laws aren't going to do shit. Gun laws are never going to stop somebody, because I promise you, this is the point I was going to make earlier with this Uvalde kid. The Uvalde shooter, if he had enough discipline to actually save his money to buy all of that ammunition the minute that he turned 18, that means that that kid was driven. He had an agenda. You think that if he wasn't able to buy those guns legally, that he wouldn't have found another way to get those guns? His mission was not to get guns. His mission was to execute innocent people. That was what his mission was. Getting guns was just a means to make that happen. So if he couldn't walk into that store and get those guns, he would have found another way to get those guns. Plain and simple. That kid was driven. If he had enough discipline at 18 years old to save up all that money for the day that he turned 18 to go into a gun store and buy all that ammunition and buy those rifles, guess what? He was driven and he had an agenda, and a gun law wasn't going to stop him. It might have slowed him down a little bit, maybe, but it wasn't going to stop him. And you're a fool if you think it would. You're a fool. I'm sorry. And that's not to say that I don't respect your opinion, okay? I realize what I'm sounding like here, but I mean, it's blatant. It's right in front of your face. Because these school shootings, these mass shootings, they're not stopping. They're not going anywhere. Because there's always the formula of how they're going to work out. The formula is, I'm going to arm myself to the teeth. Then I'm going to walk into a public place where I think most people are unarmed, or I am counting on everyone being unarmed. And I'm going to I'm going to factor in the police response time as to how many people I get to pick off until they get there. But if the norm are a mall full of people, just like this Good Samaritan, a mall full of people, just like this Good Samaritan who took advantage of his Second Amendment rights and are not going to put up with feeling unsafe when they go to the mall and they want to eat some Sbarro, they're not going to put up with that. So if the norm is everyone doing this, guess what? A coward is not going to walk into a mall and think he's going to kill everybody. He's going to be too afraid to get shot. The factor of a police response time is not going to be something that they get to depend on anymore. That has been eliminated. The factor of a police response time taking as long as it does is no longer going to be something that works to that shooter's advantage. So, but we live in a society now where we want the government to do everything for us, make more laws without having any regard for the fact that it's going to cost them certain freedoms. Because, I mean, here we go. Think about it. I mean, this is going to piss some people off. Sorry. But you don't get to be upset about the fact that there aren't more gun control laws, because you're pushing for more gun control laws. You're pushing for someone's rights to be taken away. And then on the other hand, complain about the government making decisions on what women do with their bodies. Sorry. Now, I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-choice. Just to be clear, I am pro-choice. But that's because I don't get to cherry pick rights from these rights. These rights are okay, but these rights aren't. No. It is up to us individually. In my personal opinion, it is up to us individually, each person to take accountability for their actions. Each person to take accountability for their own actions and self-discipline to be law-abiding citizens who aren't going to put up with any bullshit and are going to be able to govern themselves as best as possible. America was based on the idea, all of the laws and all of the documents that were created in 1776, all of your rights were all designed for you to be able to pave a way for you to be able to govern yourself as an individual. The tools are there for you to be able to do that. But instead, now we live in a society where we want everything done for us. But then we want to complain when the things that don't meet our agenda don't work in our favor. And the government starts making laws against those things. You don't get to do that. But becoming so dependent on a government, the more dependent you become on your government, the cost of that, people, is your personal independence and freedom. There's nothing you can do to escape that. That's a fact. There's nothing you can do to escape that fact. The more that you depend on the government making laws to dictate how you live your life and what you do with your personal self and your personal immediate environment, any law that's made takes away a little bit of your own rights. And I'm not okay with that. Because I'm a rational person who can live my life without bothering the next person. And if somebody says something I don't like, I have the perfect ability to not listen to them, to log off of their YouTube channel, to change the news. I have every freedom to do that. But the more that you push for laws being made from your government, the more closed in those walls get, suffocating your independence. I like my independence. I like my freedom. Guns are here, man. They're not going anywhere. Guys, they're here. I mean, just that gun store owner in Uvalde, just that gun store owner and his actions. Thank you so much, Stormy Nights. I really appreciate that. Just that gun store owner and his actions is an example, a small example. That is a private store owner, right? And all he was thinking about was sales. Don't tell me he wasn't. All he was thinking about was selling guns. Oh man, this guy's spending a bunch of money in my store. Awesome. What do you think gun manufacturers are thinking? Right? What do you think the gun manufacturers are thinking? Guns aren't going anywhere, dude. Like, I'm sorry. You know, you can make all the gun control laws you want. I mean, cocaine's illegal. You think that stops a cokehead from getting cocaine? You think that stops a coke dealer from getting cocaine to deal? You think that stops a smuggler from coming into the country with cocaine? Because there's a demand for it. As long as there's a demand for it, it's going to happen. It's going to sell. You could fucking make all the laws you want. It doesn't mean they're going to be effective. Cherry's aware of the mass stabbings. Tim Tarman. Cherry's aware. And I hope you guys can, you know, I'm hoping that you guys take the way that Cherry and I's dynamic here. Cherry is my right hand. She is the backbone of this channel. But we don't see eye to eye on this. We do not see eye to eye on this. We don't agree. But we are adults. We're adults that can disagree. And we can see past our opinions and to our core personalities and character. And I respect Cherry very, very, very much. And I respect her opinions very much. I don't agree with them, but I respect them. Spivey, thank you so much. As a legal firearm owner, thank you for giving me the right to protect my family and myself. 100. Yeah, I mean, what good are your rights if you don't take advantage of them? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the argument, right? Like, if I vote, I'm going to vote. I mean, I might vote for Bruce Wayne because I don't like the candidates. I'm not voting for Trump and I'm not voting for Biden. I'm just not. One of them's a complete and total asshole in my eyes, and the other one is a complete and total fucking idiot. The country is I can't even right now with what Biden's doing. One of them can't talk. The other one talks too fucking much and doesn't know when to shut up. So I don't like either one of them. Now, I know there's a lot of Trump supporters in my chat probably, and I know there's a lot of or a few Biden supporters anyway. You know, and your opinions are welcome. That's fine. But that's me personally, right? But the reason why I'm bringing that up is the argument when it comes to things like this. There's a lot of people out there that feel the same way that I do about Trump and Biden. A lot of people feel this way. And so they're quick to go, I'm not voting. But guess what? If you don't vote, if you don't exercise your right to vote, then it's non-existent. What good is a right if you don't exercise it? Ron Paul, Tea Party libertarian for Trump, Trump red pill. See, you're a right-leaning libertarian. I am what you would probably describe as a left-leaning libertarian. As far as and I will be clear about that. I don't mind explaining that. Now, I'm registered to vote as an independent. I'm registered to vote as an independent. Why? Because I may like somebody who's I may like a Republican. I may like a Democrat. You know what I mean? But to explain Boss Mustang 69, to explain my stance is I agree with most of the social issues regarding the left, or at least the traditional ones before all of this stuff has been happening in the last couple of years. I agree with your basic social issues. I'm a liberal in the truest sense of the word. See, I don't see the way that a liberal is looked at today is not actually liberal, because there's no way that you can call yourself somebody who's liberal, because the term liberal comes from the word liberty. And liberty dictates to me that I get the freedom to do whatever the fuck I want. And you don't get to tell me what to do. As long as it's not at the expense of my neighbor, I get to do whatever the fuck I want. That's what liberal means to me. And I should be okay with you doing whatever the fuck you want. But that's not how it is today. You can't say this. You can't do that. You know what I mean? That's not liberal. Sorry, it's not liberal at all. Telling somebody that they can't tell certain jokes. I mean, cancel culture today, people. Cancel culture today. How is that any different? How is that any different than burning books back in the day? How's that any different? Cancel culture today is the equivalent of burning books 100 years ago. I don't care what you say. So you don't get to call yourself, in my opinion, you don't get to call yourself a liberal and at the same time, you know, tell everybody what they can and cannot say. Bullshit. Bullshit. You're not going to tell me what I can and cannot say. Now, out of respect for the way people are, I try to keep a lid on certain things. I don't express certain opinions. You know, I won't use certain words, but that's just out of courtesy towards someone else that I may offend, because I'm not out to try to offend anyone. But I may have an opinion that offends you, like the opinions that I'm expressing right now. They could be very, very, they're very controversial opinions. But by the looks of my chat, I'm seeing a lot of people agreeing with me. And a lot of people are getting sick and tired of being told what they can and cannot say. Grandmaster Sid Sophos, thank you so much, buddy. Class act yourself. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not about to do that. And I'm not about to sit there and let you tell me what I can and cannot say. If I choose not to say something, it's because I chose not to say something, because I chose to be empathetic and try to look out for people's feelings, because I am a realist and I understand now we live in a society where people are just easily offended. But make no mistake, I don't watch what I say out of fear of being canceled. I don't watch what I say out of fear of some sort of repercussion. I watch what I say out of simple courtesy, because I understand that we live in a very, very sensitive society now. And I'm hoping that changes. You know, I'm hoping that changes. But that's the thing. Again, I'm a liberal in the truest sense of the word, because I believe that you have the right to be easily offended. If you want to be a sensitive little fuck and cry and whine over every single thing that you hear, that's your right. You get to do that. Again, I don't get to cherry pick what rights you have and what rights you don't. You have the right to be a whiny little bitch. You have every right to. So I'm going to respect that right. You know what I mean? I'm just going to respect that right. But you can't disrespect my right to say whatever's on my mind. You're nobody to take that right away from me. Nobody here is, nobody outside of this chat is, nobody. Yeah, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. Blah, 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 blah. You know, I mean, it totally is. I try to make I'm not very good at it. You can ask Cherry. I'm not very good at it, but I try to make a conscious effort to not complain. You know why that is? Because nobody fucking wants to hear it. Nobody really gives a shit. Understand that. The next time that you're complaining, understand that whoever you're complaining to and is sitting there being courteous enough to listen to it, you're taking advantage of them. You're infringing on their right to just live in a peaceful, bitch-free environment. You're imposing on them. So I try to make a conscious effort not to complain, right? One thing that people will say, I love the people who complain a shit ton. They always have that same excuse. Well, I'm not complaining. I'm venting. I'm venting. Okay. Well, you know what I think? Venting is a made-up word designed to excuse complaining. What is the fucking difference between venting and complaining? Because I guarantee you somebody that sits there and they go, you can vent to me, whatever you want. Say whatever, just vent. You need it. Just vent. Vent. They're doing it for selfish reasons. They're doing it so they could say and throw in your face later that they sat there and listened to you bitch and moan about shit that they don't really give a fuck about. Promise you. I promise you. There's a 99% chance of this. Calamity Jade, thank you so much. The everyone gets a participation ribbon, the no concept of consequence, and the everything and nothing is offensive has me at 41 years old. Yeah. Yeah. And it's getting to people, man. Like this whole thing is just getting to people already. Like it's starting to snowball into Hollywood a little bit, you know. But it's just like, man, it's everything's such an extreme. Like, why is it so weird to be in the middle? Like, that's where I'm at. At least I like to think that I am, you know. But what everything is either far right or far left. You know, there's no like, you know, I don't really fucking care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit if gay people want to get married. I don't care. You know? Like, what difference does that make to me? Even if I'm religious, why the fuck do I give a shit if whatever two people decide, you know, whatever they enjoy putting in their mouths, because whatever somebody puts in their mouth is none of your fucking business. I'm telling you that right now. Whatever somebody puts in their mouth is none of your business. So why is it that two people, whatever they put in their mouth, which is none of my business in the first place, end up deciding they want to get married? That has what the fuck does that have to do with me? Why am I worried about that? How does that affect my life? It doesn't. I don't give a shit. I do not give a shit what two people do to make themselves happy. I don't care. Or three. I don't care. Stormy Nights. Everyone wants to shove their beliefs down everyone else's throat. What happened to live and let live? Right. That's what America is based on. Every document that was that was published in the late 1700s at the birth of this nation was designed to cater to that idea of live and let live. As long as you're not doing whatever the fuck you're doing at someone else's expense, at your neighbor's expense, as long as you're not doing that, Right on. More power to you. Right, exactly. Oh man, just wait till I get more into this Teal Swan thing, man. A lot of you guys were in this chat because I was live earlier and then I heard about this shooting, so I went live again. But I was talking about Teal Swan. Wait till I get into that and what she says about pedophilia. Oh man. Y'all hear that? Can you hear that? Panda's asleep. She's snoring. She's laying on the floor snoring. Yeah, these people, man. And that's what's funny is all these lawmakers, they're self-serving, man. They have their own interests in mind. None of them are like, the only person right now that I think is in the interest of being a patriot is Rand Paul. And Rand Paul is never going to, I mean, I would vote for him in a second, but the dude, I mean, like, my wallpaper has more personality than Rand Paul. But I like the guy, and I like that he's, challenging Fauci. I like all that. But yeah, but what's probably going to end up happening is you're going to have DeSantis. I was talking to my brother. My brother was saying what I would love to see happen is DeSantis run for president and Trump be his running mate. I was like, yeah, keep dreaming, dude. That's never going to happen. But what will probably end up happening is Trump will run again and DeSantis will be his running mate. But I felt the same way when Bill Weld, I wanted him, and he was the running mate of, I already forgot the dude's, Gary Johnson. He was Gary Johnson's running mate when I thought that Bill Weld was way more. They were libertarian candidates. They didn't even get the chance to debate. Gary Johnson would have blown it because that guy is just burnt. Like, you can't smoke a big joint and then go and go in a television interview. Like, wait till you're home before you smoke, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to convince people that being a libertarian is relevant. Yeah, he's a total burnout. But I liked Bill Weld. I felt that Bill Weld should have been the primary candidate, or should have been running for president, and Gary Johnson should have been his running mate, or Bill Weld should have chosen a better running mate. Then Bill Weld just went to the Republican side, and because he didn't think that he had any chance of winning as a libertarian. Smart move, but it sucks because if we ever needed a third party candidate, man, it is now. That is exactly how I feel about it. That's just my opinion. If we have ever needed a third party candidate, it's now. And yes, that's true. The pendulum always swings, Bex. I mean, I remember, dude, I was watching, dude, I am a patriot to the core. I love being an American. I love everything that you guys have been hearing. There's no way that you're going to listen to the things that I was saying and not get out of it that I love the idea of what America stands for, what it was built on, what it was designed to be. I love that. To me, that is being a patriot. That's patriotic. The idea behind what America is supposed to be, right? What it was designed to be. And if you support that, that's what makes you a patriot, in my personal opinion. Now, the fact is, there's nobody, I'm watching Trump and Biden debate, and I'm like, I'm ashamed. This is my country. This is my country. Like these are the two people that I have to choose from to be my leaders, who are showing absolutely no leadership skills at all, in my opinion. I understand a lot of people are like, yeah, Trump is a leader, blah, blah, blah. Just because he has a whole lot of people following doesn't necessarily make him a leader. Personally, that's my opinion. You're welcome to your opinion in my chat. That's fine. That's cool. Personally, I'm not a Trump fan, and I'm listening to these two people be the most non-presidential type people ever, and they are my two choices. And I was depressed. I was bummed out. I was looking at this going, really? This is a joke. Look at these two. Oh, shut up, man. I'm sitting there going, dude, come on, man. Like, really? And they won't let a libertarian debate. They just won't. Dude, I mean, let's people don't pay attention to examples, right? Like people don't pay attention to examples that were put right in front of their face. After the George Floyd incident, what happened? In Seattle, there was an area in Seattle that became totally police free. We're governing ourselves in this little area. And it went to shit. Totally proved that liberals just do not have what it takes to govern themselves. I need somebody else to do it. What do I do? I mean, it's how it went down. There's no arguing that. You had an opportunity to govern yourselves. Cops, mayor was like, go ahead. Jenny Durkin was like, knock yourselves out. It's going to win me votes because I live in a very liberal city. And Jenny Durkin is like, yeah, knock yourselves out. This is going to look great for me politically, right? What happens? Fail. Total failure. Yeah, we're not Jenny Durkin fans here, people. Just so you know, I mean, some of you in my chat might be, but this channel, yeah, we don't like Jenny Durkin here. This channel takes pride in being a friend of Mr. Colton Harris Moore, who you may remember as being the Barefoot Bandit in the Washington area, Seattle area, and Jenny Durkin totally just, yeah, we're not fans of Jenny Durkin here, just so you know. I don't like the way she treated my man Colton as the district attorney. She was the district attorney at the time, and then she became the mayor later on. But yeah, no, not fans of Jenny Durkin here. I'm glad you're here, Spivey. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have some I've had him on this channel 3 times, I think. 3 times I've had him here. Very, very just brilliant. Just a brilliant individual. But you know, he likes money a lot, and he talked a lot about money. So some people were just like, Jesus, man, you know, but everything that he said made a lot of sense. So definitely not the usual content that takes place on this channel, but I felt privileged to have him on here and share his insights. I mean, talk about this guy who does these things that he's not proud of, serves his time, and he's just doing everything that he can to be successful despite having a criminal record. Even though he's taken full accountability for his actions, did everything he could to make it right. And all he wants to do is fly a plane legally, and he can't. But he's like, one way or the other, I'm gonna fly again. Like, if he has to go to another country, he said, I'll just relocate to another country. I don't give a shit. I will fly again. And I believe it. I believe it. We're talking about a guy who stole planes without any flying lessons at the age of 18. 5 airplanes. Taught himself how to fly them, landed them safely, walked away without a scratch. So a guy with that kind of drive, that kind of ambition, that a guy that driven, I can see absolutely, he will absolutely fly again. No, he did not, Spivey. Yeah. I have all the respect in the world for Colton Harris Moore. And I miss him, man. I wish I knew how to get a hold of him. He loves to go off the grid. That's just what he does. Like, he ends up dropping every email that he has. He had a Twitter. He got rid of his Twitter. His phone number is not the same. So, I mean, hopefully one day he'll just out of nowhere be like, hey, what's up? Which is what he did both times after the first time I spoke with him on here. I really wanted to get in touch with him during the Gabby Petito thing while Brian Laundrie was out on the was at large. I wanted to get his input, which he probably wouldn't have agreed to anyway, because he does not like to talk about his Barefoot Bandit, quote unquote, days. He doesn't like to talk about that, and I don't blame him. But I was really hoping to get his insight as to, like, what are this guy's chances of surviving in the swamp? I mean, this is a guy who eluded the FBI and made the FBI look like fools at the age of 18 for 2 years. From 17 to 19, he eluded the FBI and kept on stealing boats, stealing planes, stealing cars, breaking into houses, fixing food. So I wanted to get his insight on what he thinks of a guy like Brian Laundrie and what he felt his thoughts would have been as far as his survival goes and how long he would last out there and whatnot. But it never happened. Yeah, Spivey, you're probably right. At least I like to think that. You know what I mean? I like to think that Colton's out there with his boyfriend and just living it up, living a nice, quiet, low-key life. Just straight happy. I just absolutely, I totally hope that that's the case. Glare is the realest dude on the YouTube streets. Been watching a long time. Thanks, Liv. Thankful. I'm thankful for you, Liv. Appreciate that. Yeah, he did that. I think that was a rumor. I think he dispelled that. I think what he was saying, I if I remember correctly, because I mean the live streams that we did were long, man. But I believe that he dispelled that. Like, I think he was just trolling. He did an interview with Inside Edition on the phone, and he was just trolling them and just being like, yeah, I want to have her frozen, blah, blah, blah. I think he was just trolling Inside Edition is what it was. He still is a fascinating guy, Kelsey 206. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the world right now either, man. You know, all I can do is just do my own thing. I encourage everybody to do that, you know? Dude, just think about scientifically, mathematically thinking, like, if everybody was just doing their own thing and just minding their own business and staying in their own fucking lane, you know, everybody would be happy. But everybody wants to have control over what everybody else is fucking doing, and everybody wants to be able to say what you can't say, what you can and can't do. And it's you know, and nobody sees that as the problem. You know what I mean? Nobody sees that as the problem. Like, it's to the point to where you can't even tell a joke. You can't tell a joke. A stand-up comedian's livelihood is totally in jeopardy now because either there's the fear of them getting canceled or getting smacked. Somebody walking up on stage and smacking them for making a joke. You know what I mean? Like, that's the world we're living in right now. It's insane, man. It's insane. Yeah, Boss Mustang 69, you're right. I mean, all of this stuff. Yeah. You know what a tyrannical government does? The first thing they do? You know what the first thing it is that they do? They take your guns. That's the first thing a tyrannical government will do, is they will outlaw and take your guns so that you cannot fight them. Second Amendment was designed to be able to stand up to your government if they got a little too big for their britches. And they forgot the fact that they work for us, not the other way around. People. Like, we're never going to evolve as a species if we're always depending on someone else to make decisions for us. I mean, we're never going to evolve as a species. It's just never going to happen. Everybody wants us to progress, and it's really funny how people who claim to be progressive are hijacking the term progressive because it's actually regressive. It's not progressive to depend on government to make decisions for us and start regulating how we live our lives. I mean, how is that progressive? Isn't progress to be able to, you know, I mean, think about it. Think about it in terms of being a teenager, right? Is it regressive? You know what I mean? Like, if you teach your 16-year-old how to drive, and then you give them the keys to the car and you give them a later curfew. Why? Because they're showing responsibility, because that's what you have to do, right? Your teenager has to show that they can handle the responsibility of a later curfew, and they could be depended on to be there when needed and to be safe without mom and dad helicoptering over them and hovering over them and making sure that they do everything and they're behind them wiping their butt. That's, I mean, isn't progress when you get to that point, right? Think about that. Like, the entire point of being a parent, right? I mean, there's no way you can disagree with this. The entire point of being a parent, your job as a parent, is to teach your child how to become an independent adult. You are supposed to guide them into becoming independent adults so they can leave the nest and not expect you to take care of them anymore. They can take care of themselves. Why is it different for humanity? Why is it different for our species? How is it any different? Shouldn't that be the goal? That we get to a point to where nobody needs to tell us what to do anymore. We can function and coexist without somebody writing the rules and enforcing them on us. Right? How is that not considered progress? How is it progress to constrict, to close the walls in more? To give Big Brother more control? How is that progress? I mean, it's just not, you know? It's just not. So yeah, man. I mean, it's to the point. It's been proven to us, guys. It has been proven to us through the incident of Uvalde. It's been proven to us that we can't always rely on Big Brother to bail us out of a situation. It's been proven to us. And it's been proven that through these actions that took place at the mall in Greenwood, Indiana, that us relying on no one but ourselves is the best option to save lives and to keep ourselves and each other safe. Yes, we have police. That's great that we have police. I back the blue. I am a law enforcement supporter. Absolutely a law enforcement supporter. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, this one lone good Samaritan, quote unquote, according to that law enforcement spokesperson, this one good Samaritan was more effective than almost 400 cops in Uvalde. That is a fact. That is an indisputable fact, people. Yo, what's up, Toast? Thanks. Yeah, it's still a work in progress. I still got other stuff to put up there. I got something ordered that should be coming in soon. But yeah, man, I'm happy with it. Got my Rocky versus Apollo that took place at the end of Rocky 3, the rematch. I've always wanted that on canvas. Like, I've always wanted that my whole life. I'm such a Rocky fan. And Rocky is another example, people. Like, Rocky is the example of the American dream, dude. This is a guy, the whole story behind Rocky is a guy who was like, I'm not depending on nobody. I'm 30 years old and I got the opportunity to go toe to toe with the champ. And all I want to do, this is a guy who expressed gratitude for being in that position. He wasn't like, oh my God, and he wasn't egotistical. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to whip his ass. All I needed was the opportunity. No, all he said in Rocky 1, he was laying there with Adrian and he was just like, I just hope that I can go the distance with him. All I want to do is go the distance. All I want to do is go all the rounds with him. Take advantage of the opportunity. So I could prove to myself that I was a worthy opponent to the champion of the world. Totally humble. Through all 6 movies and then into the Creed franchise, 2 more movies, right? So 8 movies technically. Rocky stayed humble and chill and achieved more than any other boxer ever did, according to that little universe. You know what I mean? Rocky's the example. Rocky is the one example that you want to have. And then that speech at the end of Rocky 4, bro, after he beat Ivan Drago, that speech. If I could change, you could change, everybody could change. I was like, every time I watch that, I'm like, Rocky. Love Rocky. I never get sick of Rocky movies, bro. It's my favorite movie franchise of all time. Easily. Like, they made memes out of that speech. Like, everybody needs to let me read that, because I can't play the scene. I want to play the scene, but I can't. But I'm gonna end it with reading that scene, a little monologue that he does. And what's cool about that is, like, Stallone totally he was already in his 30s. He totally doubled down on everything. He wrote the script for Rocky, and he had the opportunity to sell it for a couple of $100,000. And he was like, no, I'm the one who has to do this. I have to play this role. It's not going to work with anybody else but me. I wrote this role for me. Now, he could have sold it, but imagine if he would have sold that screenplay instead of demanding and saying, you know what, I'm in this, or you don't get the screenplay. I don't want the videos, man. Like, I want to be able to read it. Yeah, here we go. So he says, there's this scene where he's talking to his son, and he says, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. And that's how winning is done. If you know your worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. That's that's plain and simple, man. Life sucks, dude. Life is a bitch. Get a fucking helmet. You know what I mean? Like, people are going to tell you shit you don't like all the time. What the hell? What kind of arrogant attitude is that for people to have, to think that they can control what comes out of somebody else's fucking mouth? Like, that's ridiculous. What kind of arrogant bullshit is that? Ridiculous. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Did 2 lives back to back. I love you guys very much. We are going to be talking more about Teal Swan. I hope you guys, because this woman's definitely on my radar, man. You want to talk about somebody who lacks self-awareness and could be dangerous. Again, I encourage you guys to watch The Deep End. It is a Hulu documentary mini series. It's four episodes, an hour long. And I'm going to be covering as much of that as I possibly can. I'm going to be going over I'm going to be going over a bunch of her videos. So just be ready for that. But anyways, guys, I love you, and we will do this again very soon, my friends. Thank you, everybody, for those of you who super chatted, man. I really appreciate it. You guys are nuts, but I really appreciate it so much. But yeah, we'll do this again soon.